let's make some foam pillars. Yeah. Okay. So, to be fair, I already did this. I did this as a class, and I also did this as a video, but I didn't like the video. So, we're gonna do the video again. So, what you are going to need for this foam pillar is a full sheet of 4x8 pink foam, 1 inch, 2 inch, whatever you want to make it. This piece right here is, I'm thinking it's a 1 inch. It's 1.5 inches. So this is 1.5 inches. Take your 4x8 sheet of plywood, and what you're going to do is you're going to get a yardstick, 3-foot yardstick. This is really going to help because part of it's 3 feet. So what you're going to do is you're going to measure, and I already have done this, so I've already got enough marks on here that I don't have to redo this with a tape measure. So, this is obviously a smaller sheet just for size on the table here, but what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to get 4 pillars out of 1 full sheet. So, each one of the uprights is going to be 6 inches across. So, you take your ruler or your tape measure and you measure basically from the bottom, measure a bunch of 6 inch, make a bunch of 6 inch marks and do that the whole length, and then come up a little bit, do it again, do it again, do it again. Once you have those marks, you also want to take a mark up here from the bottom to the top, and you're going to make a 3-foot line. So you're going to have 6 inches wide, 3 feet tall, and then the rest of the top is going to be your tops and bottoms of the pillars. Those are going to be 12 inch by 12 inch squares. So for every 2 uprights, you will have a top, and then the other 2 uprights will have a bottom. So that's how you're going to get 4 pillars, because for every 4 uprights, you're going to have 2 12 inch by 12 inches. Those are going to be your tops and your bottoms for that pillar. So I am actually not going to cut this, but I'm just going to show you that basically you take your yardstick and you go with each one of your lines, because I am actually going to do these layers for more pillars, but I'm not going to. I've got other ones to do as well. And the reason I had to make another video was because I bought the panel of foam, and I thought it would fit in my SUV, and it did not, so I had to break it apart. So when you go buy rigid foam, bring a truck or something big enough to hold 4x8. So as you can see, what I've got there is I've got the 6 inch lines drawn vertically for 3 feet. And then I'm going to do the 12 inch ones. Like I said, I've already measured these out. These already were drawn at least once before, but the sun faded them because they've been in the backyard. Oh, and then here's the So, I hope that shows up on film. Otherwise, I will actually be showing a picture right now of what it actually looks like, the full panel. But here is a smaller version of it. So, what you will then do is you will take a brand new, this is a, I'm trying to do this from far away. Anyways, this is a utility knife. You can use a Dremel with the multi-purpose bit to actually cut the lines. It looks like a drill bit, but it's not. It looks sort of it's more cylindrical than it is drill style, where the drill style goes down. This one kind of wraps around in like a weird little shape. Anyways, so it's called a multi-purpose bit for a Dremel, and it will actually cut through this really nice and leave very little mess. This will leave no mess because it's a knife, but you want to make sure you have a brand new blade, and you just take your lines, cut all of them out, so you have all of your uprights and all of your tops. You know what? I'm just going to cut these. I'm going to cut this anyways. So, you start at the top. Preferably try to make it as straight as you can. The cool thing with pink foam is once you cut like that, you can break it in half. That's super cool. So let's play with this piece. So, a word of warning, these are already scored at those stupid marks that they do already for the contractors. I know it's cool for them, but it's not cool for us. So you can see there's like one there, one there, one there. Be careful when you're breaking this apart. You are breaking it on the opposite of this, but just make sure that you're doing it that way. Just be careful because there is not a lot of space left so that you can actually almost accidentally break this. So just, obviously the thinner it is, that's an enjoyable sound, isn't it? The thinner the foam, the easier it'll be to break. Try to make these lines as straight as you can, but yeah, I almost broke that one. Like I said, new blade, brand new blade. Okay. That's not good. I forgot you're gonna rough this up anyways. Okay, so let me get these lights on now. Power of Grayskull. The power of Grayskull. Haha, power light. There you go. Yes, my patio lights are turned on with the now. Anyways, so now you have two upright, or two top and bottom, and you have 4 upright, 6 inches wide, 3 inches long. So there's your pillar. We're done, right? No, we're not done. Okay. So what you're going to do is you are going to get There's several different ways to do this, putting these together. As much as I love Great Stuff and Gorilla Glue, you can use Gorilla Glue. There is no problem with that. Gorilla Glue will expand a little bit, so you need to, and then you have to spritz this with water. So if you're going to use Gorilla Glue, you spray this with, take a little spray bottle, you spray it, just spritz it with water, lay down the glue, spritz this side with water if you want to, and lay that down just like that, so that you have an L shape, and you put some screws in it. The other way is with, you can use Great Stuff on it as well, same thing. You're gonna need to clamp it, and you're gonna need a lot of clamps, or you're gonna need to get like tape, like masking tape, and tape around this all as one piece to get it to stay. And you kind of need to do it kind of quick, because Great Stuff starts to get messy and starts to expand right away, so you need to do all this in one step. What I like to use for these is not construction adhesive. That's actually what this is. This is construction adhesive. It is Loctite. Gorilla Glue actually makes one of these as well, so if you want to stay with the Gorilla Glue brand, you can do that. I found that this Loctite one, it's the premium construction adhesive. It does say it does work on foam board. I used it on the foam board in the class, and it held up very, very nice. So what I like to do is I just like to take the adhesive, if it's not dry. So it's just to take the glue, make a nice big run of it. I always like to make the words on the outside. So line it up the best you can. And press down. Now, for the 1.5" foam, you're going to need 2.5" screws. You can use 3" screws as well. What the screws are going to do is the screws are going to hold this while the glue is setting. It's not going to let it move around and stuff like that. And it also will provide stability later on. So I put one in each corner a little bit up. And then this also will ensure that everything is straight as well. Sink it in. Make sure you sink it just like you would in any other kind of like woodworking project. And then what I do is I look along the edge here and I see if any parts of it are bulging out. Usually you can put one in the middle and that should hold it. So I did not sink this one all the way. Yeah, sink them in there. You're gonna paint over it anyways. So now you have an L-shaped, just like this. I was going to do a magic trick. I was going to turn these into this because I already had all these made. But I'm not going to. These are all my 1" ones. I now have 1" and a couple of 1.5". But for the sake of continuity, we're just going to keep going with this. So what I would set this aside, let that be there. When you look at some of these pieces, you'll notice that You can't really see it on camera, but this has a pretty big beveled edge. What I'm gonna do is, because it's how I cut it, because it looks kind of weird, but also for the now you're probably asking yourself, Troy, what type of witchcraft tool was that you just used? That is a Sure Foam shaver. Yeah, I'll show you pictures of all this stuff later. Anyways, so it is, you know what, I will walk up there because this is a cool tool. Look at that thing. Yeah. So this is actually kind of hard to find now. It's not sold at Lowe's or Home Depot anymore, which is sad. But Amazon has these like in 2 and 3 and 1 and 4 packs and whatever. I love this tool. They actually also sell the replacement blades for it as well. So there's only a couple of times that we're actually going to be shaving the foam. But have your shop back out to clean all this up, which is what I'm going to do right now. You know, it didn't do a very good job of cutting that at all. Anyways, so what we're going to do is we're going to test fit this to make sure that we get a nice flat-ish. Okay, that works. Okay, so now we're going to, and you could do this either way. You could put the bead of adhesive right here, or you could put it on the edge. Always have a spare piece of foam around to let that grip on too. Make another beautiful L. And these are just drywall screws, the cheapy coarse drywall screws. Coarse thread. So sometimes you might need to put more than one screw in there in the middle sections, just if you have a piece that's kind of warped or whatever. It is not necessary though. Okay, so one of the things that I did that was different than what the video on the Hallmark channel had was I put a piece of PVC pipe in the middle. And to do that, you're gonna need some scrap foam. So they make these things called project panels, which are 2 foot pieces. So buy one of those as well. And just have it around. But I have some extra pieces that I'm going to cut. So I've got little pieces like these. So what you're going to do is you're going to dang old construction adhesive. I'm going to do this and then shower, because then you clean yourself off. You're going to be putting these in the middle so that it has something to grab to. The reason I'm going to tell you to do the project panel is that you're going to actually measure this out so that it's a full a square in there so that it fits the entire thing. I'm not going to do that because I only have these pieces that are already cut. But you should do a project panel that has it's probably going to be like a because you can put these together. So, always test fit to make sure this is going to fit. So you should have 2 L shapes like that. And they will make a box. Look at that box. Yeah, box. So, what you're going to do with that project panel is you're going to basically make your box and then go ahead and measure and say, you know, like for this one, it's probably going to be about 4.5. Should be 4.5 by 4.5. Yeah, so 4.5 by 4.5. We'll make this 4.5. Also, if you're doing this project at night, don't do it outside because there's mosquitoes. So, now you have your 2 squares. 2 squares. Get your, like a soldering iron, or you can use your Dremel again. I like to use a soldering iron only because it's fun. So, I say use a soldering iron. So, what you're going to do is you're going to use that soldering iron and you're going to make a hole in the center. The Dremel just kind of cut around and made it all bad. I didn't like it at all. So, obviously you can tell when it's hot. It'll start smoking, usually. So, while we wait for this to heat up, so far what you're going to need for tools wise is you're going to need a drill with a Phillips head, you're going to need a caulking gun, the premium Loctite or Gorilla Glue or Gorilla construction adhesive, you're going to need a yardstick, you're going to need the shear foam shaver, you're going to need a pen, marker, you're going to need a utility knife, a tape measure if you feel like it, a soldering iron, you're going to need 2.5-inch screws, of course drywall screws, and then we'll add some more tools to that in a minute. That's right. Always do this outside. Always, always, always. So all I'm doing is I'm just going around it in a circle, getting mosquitoes. I'm a mosquito! Mosquitoes are terrible. There's no reason for them. There is absolutely no reason. Tell me why. Tell me why there's a reason for them. Oh, because they transfer blood to other people. That's good. Yeah, let's transfer diseases. That's how we get West Nile. Obviously, check here. This one is not a good circle at all. This is not a circle by any means. So, it's mainly so that PVC pipe goes through. It will not be a perfect circle, I can guarantee you that. If you can make a perfect circle with a soldering iron, more power to you. When we get to PVC, well, this is cut to size. Is this cut to size? No, it's not. That's fine. Boom. Boom. It's kind of a tight fit. That's good. So now that you have those, what you'll need to do is they will need to be centered in there, and that will be the hard part. Is if you don't have them, if you don't have the exact 4.5 by 4.5 type thing, because these are like 4.5 by 2.5 or whatever, they won't, you know, then they won't sit in there. So it takes a little bit of practice with this to get it to do it right. If you're not using the right thing. Because then it's always a good thing. You can always I would also tell you to probably use like screws in it. So we'll do that as well. So yeah, let's do some screws in those. These don't have to be 2.5-inch screws. It's kind of overkill. So if you have some smaller ones, that'll work too. It probably doesn't need more than 2, one on one side, one on the other pillar. So, once you have those squares in there, go ahead and put another little bit of a construction adhesive on those, and then go ahead and line your Vita. Oh, that's a big glob. Why is it globby? So globby. Oh, they're on my foot again. So if for some reason they don't line up exactly straight, that's okay, because we're going to do some shaving anyways. But it is very imperative that you cut these things as straight as you can. Where's the other one? Oh, right there. If you feel like clamping these, that wouldn't be the worst, you know, to really set them in there. But again, it's okay for them to look a little rough. Only because, again, you're going to be roughing these up with that shaver. So, now, get where those middle pieces are again. And all that's going to do is just ensure that those middle sections for the pipe fit in there. So at this stage, this is where it'll get a little bit messy again. So now you have a box. You have a box with a hole.
I think I can see you through the hole. I think I can. I think I can. See, I can.
So now you have a box, 4 sides, screw it in. So, you know, I think everybody can do this. Pretty easy. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this shaver and you're gonna shake it all around. You're gonna make a mess. But it's a cool mess. So take the shaver and what you're gonna do is you're gonna break down the edges because you don't want any straight edges. Don't worry about the ends themselves. You can leave those alone because they're going to be covered by the top to the bottom. I sucked up my pen into the thing. So, we'll show you this a little more up close. So you can see how you don't have to do it amazingly, but just to break down the corners. It'll look cool when it's painted. Do this step. Do the scraping and the shaping step before you attach your lids. Because when you have the lids on, you're going to have this up off the ground and you're going to be pushing on it the whole time, and it's going to cause an issue with that. Also, one of the bottoms you're going to have to put a hole in as well, right in the center for the pipe to go through. And then you'll need some great stuff to... Dang it. You'll need some great stuff to keep the pipe where it is on the end there. So, let's do that step now. Because you've got this done. Actually, before we do that, before you clean up your mess with all the shavings and put your shop back away, pick which side you want to be the top. I always try to make the not printed side the top and the bottom. So just do this. You can do this after if you want, but again, you're going to have a lot more control and you're not going to have to worry about breaking anything. With your bottom piece, you're going to need to do the same thing, but you're going to need to make sure that when you do it, so like this is going to be my top of the bottom piece. So when you're cutting around it and you're shaping it, you're gonna shape it so that it's down, so that when you put this up, you want to make sure that this is not this side. So when you're doing it, you basically want 2 of these because you want it to look like it has been worn down as it's sitting on the ground. So basically do these the exact same way, but just when you go to adhere it to the box, you want to make sure that one of them, that they both basically sit up straight, so that your shavings are both down on both. I made that mistake on the one that I did in the class. You can tell this is my homework table, huh? So much paint on it. So much stuff has been done on this table. Okay, so this is going to be my bottom. Get your mind out of the gutter. Get your mind out of the bottom. So we'll let that heat up for a minute. So what you can do is you can... If you want to be precise and you want to actually measure all this, that's cool. You can do that if you want to. I think generally I can kind of give you a rough idea. 2.5, 2.5, 2.25. What do I got over here? 2.25. That's 2. So if you went like 2 1/4. Like that's like 2 1/4. That's 2 1/4. That's 2 1/4 ish. That's 2. So yeah, 2 1/4. Or you can eyeball it, whatever you want to do. You can take your pen and mark it if you want to, which is actually what I will do. Where I'm happy with it. You can also do this to where it is upside down like this, so then you know what you're looking at there of your kind of your spacing. You can kind of just eyeball it. Like I said, it doesn't need to be exactly straight. That is up to you. So the lines give you an idea of where to put your glue. I would smush this, I'd hold it and smush it like this, smushy, smushy, smushy. But you also can put screws in, which I'm gonna do. Kind of gonna just eyeball where the screws are. I would just do 2 screws. That's not pretty good. Looks good to me. Like it's in there. But like we said, the screws are just kind of for extra, so that you don't have to do this. You don't have to wait for this to sit and dry and stuff like that. So now that this one I kind of am gonna find my 6-inch. So this I would make a little bit bigger than your 1/2-inch pipe, only because you want to be able to secure it with the great stuff. So that leaves a little bit of space in there to put the great stuff in there. I need to cut this. It's not the right pipe at all. Also, it helps to make sure the pipe is straight. So right at the... Alright, to get your PVC cutters. That was probably a little too short. Anyways, so make sure, 1.5 inches, 2 inches of it sticks out. What I would do is I would make a 3.5 foot piece of pipe, and then Put the bottom through it, and then put the pipe down to the end when you do the great stuff part. We'll do that in a minute. But, so as of right now, if the pipe fits in there, that's fine. So we will mark around that. Okay, so what I will show you is that's how it looks. So you got the pipe sticking out there a little bit. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that pipe and you're going to put it in just at the base. If your great stuff is ready. I'm going to come around there so everybody can see it. Because I didn't make it the length of it. I made it a little too short. It's having problems. So make it 3.5 feet of pipe. Then measure it. Measure the end. Mark it. Pull it back out. Cut it. Shove it back in so that the pipe hits the top. That's the best way to make this so that it stays where it's supposed to be. What you can do with these is you can take a knife, you can take a soldering iron, you can I'm actually going to do this a little bit, but you can go along and you can make cracks. So you can kind of make some so you can do cracks, you can gouge out corners, you can do all that kind of stuff. One of the cool things that I'm actually going to do with this, and I'm going to show you now, they did not do the great stuffing. I should probably do that. So if you can see on this one, what I did was I did individual lines. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do that with the Dremel. This is where you get to be creative and you get to do your pillars however you want. If you want to make them cobblestone with the different rounded stones all over this, then do that. If you want to make lines, if you want to make bricks, you know, the offsetting lines to make it look like it's bricklaying, or you can do this where it looks more like a cinder block is stacked on top of each other. You know, blocks are stacked and then they were mortared and then the caps were put on. You know, so you can do it any way you want like that. I'm going to continue to do this because my other pillars are like this. So I needed to bring this one out so I can measure distance. So they are, what, 6.5? It looks like they're about 6. Yeah, so they're 6 from the bottom. Oh, my mosquitoes. I'm a mosquito. So I need to do that. So that's my bottom. That's my bottom. Yes, I can be silly too. But yeah, you can be creative on how you want to make these look. You know, you can do that with the soldering iron where you can make cracks, you can make lines, you can make gouges with, you know, you can take a hammer to it. You can, take the shaver and do more shaving. You can break chunks out of it and things like that to make it look even older. You know, depends on your theme. So I am actually going to do 6, 12, 18. One of the things you're going to need if you do this kind of look where you're going to do the you know, just the bricks on each other, they don't have to be exactly straight, but it would be preferred. Is you have to line them up on all sides because you don't want your lines all weird. You don't want your lines not matching up. So what I do is I make my line and then I make a line going down so that I know where I did my line on the other side. Okay, so once you've made your lines like that, see, lines, is what you're gonna do is you're gonna get your Dremel out and you're gonna get this little, you're gonna get two things for your Dremel. Two things. Plunge router kit, see? Or I don't know what this is like a depth guide, sorry, it's a depth guide. So it's got the little screw on there, and then one of these, and it's a polishing stone. I'll put the number in the description of what this is. Amazon sells these in a box of like 40, which is really cool. So it's a cone-shaped polishing bit, and I love what it does for grout lines. I use it all the time when I'm making grout lines in the pink foam. It does not work at the white foam. I mean, it does to a point, but. So I have my depth just the one mark under 3/4, so you can see the whole 3/4, and then there's one mark underneath it. I have it right there. But that is up to you of how you want to make your depth on there. So what I do is I take the bit, I watch the guide, and I basically just whoop, whoop, whoop. That's what a Dremel sounds like. So, you know, practice with like a scrap piece of foam and see how deep you like the line. try to keep this level, and I come over to show you. See? Pretty cool lines. So, you know, like I said, you can add all the cracks and gouges you want. But you need to do all of that before you paint. Don't do any of this stuff after you paint, because obviously it won't work. So, because when you paint it, you need to get in the lines with your paint, and you need to, because you don't want pink showing. So you got to get in your lines with your paint. So I am not going to paint these tonight because it's a little cooler out, and I want it to dry while we're doing the class, or while I'm showing you what this is. But I've already filmed it being painted, so we're going to go to that right now. All right. So once you have it all painted, all coated in black, then you can take. You need to take a sponge like this. I like to use the ones with the green SOS pad on the back, and then the sponge so that it has these kind of holes in it. There's other sponges that don't have these little pores. Don't get those because they tend not to do a cool design. So you can wear gloves if you want to. I like to, just because you can already tell, you know. So take your gray. I don't know why I did this because I already have one going, but whatever. So you have this gray, coat it. So coat it in gray first. And then take the black and just kind of go around it like this. Okay? And then take some white like that. Just kind of blot it around. You can do as much or as little as you want. And then take it like this. When you first do it, kind of move it around because there's a lot of white on there. And then you just blot it around. You can go about halfway before you need to reapply the gray and more white. So you can already tell. See, there you go. You do this again. So you just do that as much or as little as you want. It's a long shot. Shocking. So there you go. That's pretty cool. I changed clothes in that part, didn't I? That's because I filmed that part earlier. So as you saw, you got your sponge, you got your black, your white, your gray, and you base it all in black, and then sponge on the black, the gray with the black and white spots, and you do all this and let it dry, and you have a pillar. Oh, I'm gluing that part right now. Anyways, so there is your pillar. You can obviously make a bunch of these. Obviously, you'll make 4 of these out of each one. I would just do these in sets. What I would do is I would take, cut all the foam, do all the adhering to where you're at this point. So you have the roughed corners. You have the tops and the bottoms on. You have everything glued in there. You got the PVC pipe in, and then you could let it stop at that point. Then you come back the next day, you can do your grout lines, do your cracks and everything, and then do your painting. Or you can do all that and then do painting another day. I would always recommend doing painting when it's dry, when it's hot out, or when it's warm out and in the sun. So you can sit there and you can do your base, do your base black on one pillar, set it out in the yard or in the driveway or whatever to warm up in the sun and dry up, and then do another pillar, and then let that one, and then by the time you get to your 4th pillar of basing in black, the first pillar should be done. And then you can come back and you can start doing all your sponge painting. And sponge painting is a great thing to do with kids. Your kids can help with the black, with the whole painting part. But this is actually a pretty cool one to do with kids as well. Obviously, you have to be careful with the grate stuff. It doesn't get all over your hands. It's really sticky. And the shaver, just make sure they're not raking their own hands with it. That'd be terrible. But there's really not any bad tools with it. I mean, if you don't use the soldering iron, if you have another way you want to cut the hole in the bottom and in those 2 middle pieces, or just have the adult do that part. But this is a good kid, adult and kid make, prop build as well. So there's your pillar, and I hope you enjoyed this how-to. I do these how-tos without any script, and I just kind of do them as I go. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, you can message me on Facebook, Troy Crivelone, or Scare Hollow. You can go on our Facebook page, and I can answer any questions you need. So, on to on.